We rely on our smartphones as continuous lifelines to the outside world. But when we sleep, that connection remains active, leaving a doorway wide open, sitting directly beside our beds. In this case study, the intrusion began at 3:33 a.m. with an incoming call. The caller ID provided 0 data, reading simply, unknown. The subject followed a standard pattern. They ignored it. But the phone rang again, and a third time. Driven by frustration and the isolation of the early morning hours, they finally answered. There was no telemarketer or wrong number apology. The connection yielded only silence, followed by the slow, heavy rhythm of deep breathing. The subject whispered a single word into the receiver. Hello? A reply came back, a distorted version of their own voice, asking, why didn't you answer earlier? The danger here lies in the specificity of the audio. By mirroring the subject's own voice, the caller bypasses the brain's natural skepticism, using a familiar identity to create an immediate sense of personal vulnerability. The subject followed defensive protocol. They hung up, blocked the unknown number, and attempted to re-establish their digital privacy. Seconds later, the phone buzzed again. The same number was calling, bypassing the block list entirely, operating outside the phone's standard software constraints. When refused, the phone shifted to automatic playback, triggering a voicemail without any user input. The recording was the subject's own voice. It was crying, begging themselves to pick up and pleading not to ignore the call. A second voicemail triggered immediately after. This time, the subject was screaming, "Answer before it comes inside," before the audio abruptly cut to static. These recordings exploit a unique psychological trigger. Hearing your own voice in a state of extreme distress forces an immediate, visceral reaction, making it difficult to maintain the logical distance needed to keep the phone off. The phone initiated another call. This time, the caller ID data changed. The screen now displayed the words, "My phone." The subject stared at the screen in disbelief. This was no longer an unknown caller, but a signal claiming to originate from the device they were currently holding. The audio environment then began to change. The sound of the ringtone grew progressively louder, and the perceived distance of the chime began to shift. The source of the sound moved. The sharp, mechanical ringing was no longer coming from the small speaker in the subject's hand. The ringing was now echoing through the physical space of the bedroom, originating from the shadows directly behind the victim. The threat was no longer confined to the screen. The source of the signal had transitioned from a digital notification on a device to a physical presence within the room. In total darkness, the subject slowly turned around to face the source of the ringing. They found nothing. The room was empty, and for a moment the sound of the ringing stopped. But the phone screen in their hand suddenly lit up. The call had connected automatically, and the timer began to count up. The subject heard their own voice, speaking not from the phone, but directly behind their ear, whispering, "Finally answered." If you ever look down at your phone and see your own number calling you, do not pick up. Accepting the call provides the final connection needed for the anomaly to bridge the gap. Answering is the final permission for whatever is using your voice to enter your room.